Order. Mr. Speaker.
I'll call the House to order.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in this House today as a parent of a child with autism and on behalf of the Legislative Assembly in recognizing World Autism Awareness Day. World Autism Awareness Day shines a light on autism as a growing global health crisis. Every year, autism organizations celebrate the day with Light It Up the Blue campaign, with the goal of bringing the world's attention to autism, a pervasive disorder that affects tens of millions of people globally, including my son Jack. Autism spectrum disorder, otherwise known as ASD, and autism are both general terms for a group of complex disorders of brain development. ASD is characterized in varying degrees by challenges in social behavior, verbal and nonverbal communication, and repetitive behaviors. They include autistic disorder, Rett syndrome, childhood disintegrative disorder, Asperger's syndrome, and pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified. ASD can be associated with intellectual disabilities, difficulties in motor coordination and attention, and physical health issues such as sleep and gastrointestinal disturbances. Some persons with ASD excel in visual arts, music, art, and mathematics. Autism is now recognized as the most common neurological disorder affecting children and one of the most common developmental disorders. ASD now affects approximately 1 in 88 children. Some statistics reflect an estimated 80% increase in reported prevalence in the last 7 years. By way of comparison, this means more children than are affected by diabetes, AIDS, cancer, cerebral palsy, cystic fibrosis, muscular dystrophy, and Down syndrome combined. There's no medical detection or cure for autism. Mr. Speaker, ASD is incredibly challenging for both the individuals diagnosed with the disorder and their families. It can also be quite challenging for the professionals working with a person with ASD, to which I can't thank them enough for their continued support, their persistence, and their dedication. It is clear and it is evident to me that an early diagnosis translates to an early intervention, which can mean a better life and a greater educational and social opportunities. My son is a perfect example of this. Signs of autism are usually present by 3 years of age, and it is 4 times more prevalent in boys than it is girls. In Yukon, the Child Development Centre coordinates the diagnosis of ASD in preschool children. Through family supports for children with disabilities, the Department of Health and Social Services supports children with ASD and their families. The department works with families to ensure support and funding for a range of services, including respite care, family counseling, and specialized interventions such as speech-language therapy, applied behavioral analysis, and physiotherapy. On this day, we would also like to recognize the professionals, parents, and caregivers who work so very hard in Yukon to ensure that services are available to families in our territory. Mr. Speaker, at this time I'd like to recognize just a few people in our gallery visiting for this tribute. Colette Atchison from Yukon Association from Community Living, and Kate Swales and Shirley Chutan from Autism Yukon. If all members could join me in welcoming them to the gallery. Mr. Speaker, we are also pleased to support the valuable work of an organization that I have a very personal connection to. Autism Yukon is doing a tremendous job at raising awareness of autism in our community. Autism Yukon is a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting families and individuals living with autism spectrum disorder. They are guided by a board of directors comprised of parents with children who have ASD and caring family and community members. Their purpose is to provide support, public awareness, training, advocacy, and resources for our community. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Legislative Assembly, we encourage Yukoners to join our families, volunteers, and professionals in the effort to inspire compassion, inclusion, and hope for people with ASD and their families. Light it up blue.